Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming along to our FocusBand presentation. We have some great new brainwave ideas and practical applications for neuroplasticity. My name is Henry Bolton. I'm one of the co-founders of the FocusBand brain sensing headset and platform. Today's presentation is about bringing brainwave insights to neuroplasticity. Let me start by going through the key presentation points we'd like to show you today. What neuroplasticity looks like functionally and in real time. How to monitor neuroplasticity during functional activities. How practitioners can measure and compare the effectiveness of their various interventions. How practitioners can design their own protocols in minutes. The science behind FocusBand, the accuracy behind FocusBand. Let me start off with our story, our journey to brainwave technology. My name is Henry Bolton and I work alongside my father, Graham Bolton. We're both electronic engineers. We originally started out in the supermarket industry, designing the software to run and manage the supermarkets. We eventually went on to build our own hardware, which was the world's first touchscreen point-of-sale terminal that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen there. Obviously, these are commonplace now. That company went on to be very successful and was eventually floated on the Australian Stock Exchange. But back to the supermarket connection. Supermarkets are a very high noise environment, not too dissimilar to the brain. So we'll go into that a little bit later. We then went on to our real passion, which was sports performance, especially golf. We started out with 3D sensors, tracking the body, specializing in technique and physical training, tracking the kinematic sequences. This led us to working with some of the best golfers here in Australia and the Japan tour. It was actually while in Japan, we could see that they were playing great in their practice rounds, but come the tournament, they would play poorly and miss the cut. We realized it was the mental game that made the biggest difference. So I came back to Australia, Dad and I sat down and we said we really needed to start measuring the brain and the mental process while they were actually playing on the golf course. So that's essentially how FocusBand was born. We went on to build the world's first in-motion EEG brain training system. We had a fair bit of fun along the way, testing that out while we're running, cycling, tackling each other, and so able to get clean data through all that. So we knew we were onto something really special there. And that sort of is the segue into the US PGA Tour. We were lucky enough to work with some of the best golfers on the US PGA Tour. We took 2 golfers to world number 1, Jason Day in 2015 and then Justin Rose in 2018. That was super exciting to be a part of, but we realized this was much bigger than golf. We had a really big opportunity to help so many people in all aspects of their life, in the personal wellness, workplace wellness and performance, and the big piece was their sleep. So from a technology standpoint, we set out to create a professional wearable brain sensing headband and hat that you could wear while you're in motion. It had to be robust, had to be rugged, easy to put on, easy to use, and accurate. So we weren't asking for too much there. One of the most exciting things we've been a part of over the last 10 years is the evolution of real-time EEG data to visualize neuroplasticity. It's gone in 3 phases. We had to technically prove it with the traditional spectrogram line graphs. Then it became more functional. We developed the brain frequency variability, which we're going to go into a bit later. And then finally, we got it into an easier to understand format. So this is probably the most exciting development that we've come up with. And it's basically like a GPS for the brain. It's a crosshair graph. So we have the crosshair going up and down and left and right. and this can track exactly where you're going throughout a session. So it's very easy for the practitioner and the user to know exactly where they're at throughout that whole session. So we're super excited to show you all of that in today's presentation. Let me start off by explaining what is inside the FocusBand platform. So in the middle of the screen, we have the FocusBand headset. So it has 3 sensors that pick up your brain frequency, and we transmit that via Bluetooth back to your mobile device. And it can run on Apple or Android. Now that allows you to see the brain data in real time. On the right-hand side of the screen, we have the cloud reporting. So all the data goes back to the cloud, and that enables you to track your client's progress over time.
We acknowledge and understand the traditional disadvantages of EEG hardware and analysis methods. To eliminate these limitations, we had to build our own EEG system from scratch. This became the FocusBand with the many improvements that we added in. Improvements. Able to be used in motion. It was imperative the system could be used in motion, as that would give us a huge advantage over other golf coaches. This was achieved by all the other elements of our design. Improved signal-to-noise ratio. Noise is an undesirable signal in any electronic device. It interferes with the original signal and distorts it. It adversely affects the performance of the communication system, so we needed to overcome this in our design and make sure it was real robust. Design our own FFT. The fast Fourier transform, or FFT, is an important measurement method in the science of audio and frequency measurement. It converts a signal into individual spectral components and thereby provides frequency information about the signal. This is the heart of our design, and it had to be accurate. Otherwise, as the saying goes, garbage in, garbage out. We currently have a patent pending on the design of our novel FFT. Novel reduction methods. Our novel data reduction method takes a 1-second EEG epoch or sample of the data, analyzes it, and then assigns a BFV value to this epoch. The BFV value is displayed in real time and used in further statistical analysis reports. Separate the frequency and amplitude signal characteristics. Separating the amplitude and frequency components of the EEG signal assisted in further signal-to-noise ratio improvements and less prone to static interference. Some of you may recall initially having an AM radio, that's amplitude modulation, and now you may have a FM radio, frequency modulation. Or in many cases you may have both AM and FM. The FM radio has a higher signal-to-noise ratio and less subject to static interference. Consequently, the sound is clearer and less prone to interference. These are the 2 values we strive for within the FocusBand. Audible, visual, and haptic feedback. Feedback enables the user to self-regulate their brain, and we need a suite of feedback options to assist with their operant learning. Apart from the usual audible, visual, and haptic feedback, we have included an option to select a frequency band to control the neurofeedback. This targets the source of the issue and speeds up the process. Intervention interfaces via API. We have an interface, API, which can communicate with other intervention devices that also have an API. There could be considerable synergy between the FocusBand and an intervention device both communicating with each other. We are currently in the process of interfacing with our first intervention device. We will update our development progress in our virtual booth, so hope you come along to our virtual booth. Machine Learning Index. Machine learning input is addressed with our BFV index and is the development path to AI, artificial intelligence, and bot operations. We are well down the track in this development. Easy to use, quick to set up and learn. As you can see in the following video, it's a matter of just wrapping it around the head and affixing the Velcro straps, and you are in business. Nice and simple.
Okay, welcome to Amazing Brainwaves. We'd like to show you how we use FocusBand in centre. So we just apply it to the client's head, easily attach it, just wait for it to connect to the app. So we're using FocusBand for baseline measure for clients' brainwaves. It's really easy to use.
The science behind FocusBand. We've been working closely with two universities, the University of Queensland here in Australia and the University of Eastern Finland. The University of Queensland is also one of the top 3 sleep universities in the world. The two universities have published 2 papers using the FocusBand. The first one was testing the electrical characteristics and efficacy of the FocusBand textile sensors, and the second one was on deep learning of sleep staging. So why did we choose sleep to test out the FocusBand? Well, sleep is one of the most researched fields in science today. So the test equipment is also heavily scrutinised. So what better place for us to test the FocusBand against the gold standard to see how well we would perform. The gold standard device that was used was the Neuroline PSG 720 and 726, and the participants wore both the Neuroline and the FocusBand simultaneously, as you can see in the images on the right-hand side of the screen. The second study was on the accuracy of sleep staging. If we go down to the bottom of the screen, we can have a look at the sleep staging accuracy report. So the gold standard, the Neuroline PSG system, came back with 87% accuracy, and the FocusBand came in just behind at 83%, which we were super excited about. Just to put it in perspective, the Neuroline is priced at $15,000 and the FocusBand is around the $1,000 mark. So at the end of that, both the university and we were excited. From the university side, they understood now that they could do sleep staging and sleep research studies a lot easier. And we were super excited in the sense that FocusBand stood up against all that pressure against the gold standard there. Some of the great feedback from the university and the participants was around setup. So the Neuroline took about 10 to 15 minutes to set up, whereas the FocusBand took about 10 seconds to set up. So from that standpoint, they loved it. And then the second one, obviously from the participants, was comfort level. The FocusBand was a lot more comfortable to wear and a lot more natural to sleep in. The universities are really interested in using it for sleep research projects now. The ability to measure while the participants are at home and measure over a longer period of time, 5 to 7 days and then up to 2 weeks. So they can get a truer indication of where the participants' sleep patterns are at home. So if anyone is interested in the sleep research area, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We can discuss this further. Neuroplasticity is an umbrella term for a vast collection of different brain change and adaptation phenomena. We interpret neuroplasticity as the rate of synaptic connections of neurons in the brain in response to various stimuli. If we start off with the brain on the left-hand side of the screen, we can see all the electrical activity. So your perception, thought and stimulus activate the neurons in the brain to communicate via rapid electrical impulses to evoke emotion, sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system responses, behaviour, and so on. The EEG electrodes detect and measure that rate of these rapid electrical impulses that result from the activity of your brain cells. The data is then converted into various different formats so you can visually see the amount of plasticity that has occurred in real time and over time. We have the spectrogram and the BFE meter on the left-hand side for real-time plasticity, and then the BFE histogram and crosshair graph on the right that visually shows you the amount of plasticity in real time and over time. How does brain frequency help with neuroplasticity? Let's just talk about this bit in the circle here, the bit that starts it all. So this is, say, the electrical part of the brain. So we have perception, thought, and stimulus. And these three basically perceive the environment that you're in. So let's just say you're in an office, someone walks past your desk that causes you great stress, makes you become unhappy. And so this sets off a chain reaction. The first thing it'll do is activate high frequency brain waves. So that's the start of the high beta activity in your brain. That activates a stress response. And so down the line, the first thing is it creates a stress emotion. The next thing is release neurotransmitters, so cortisol and norepinephrine. Then there'll be, if it happens for long enough, it'll become inflammation. Then it activates the sympathetic nervous system. So now you're in a fight, flight, or freeze mode. 7 body systems are stressed. Your organs, your heart rate is high, your lung capacity is down. Then your muscles start to get tight. In, so workplace, what we're talking about is neck pain. In sport, it'll be muscles get tight. And so all of a sudden you're now time traveling. You're in the future or the past. You don't want to be in this present moment. And then you're stuck in finite space. So all you can think of is that person really annoys me. So that's, now you're stuck in this, it's a negative loop that you're stuck in. And it's a self-perpetuating loop. It just keeps feeding on itself. So it's quite hard to get out of. So to get out of that bad state and get into a good state, we're actually going to start off with number 13 down the bottom here, guided interventions. Next step will be utilising neurofeedback, breathing exercises, novel exercises or interventions that you have. Basically what we're wanting to achieve here is to create a perceived happy environment. That's all we're trying to achieve here by breaking whatever pattern they were stuck in. So if we can do that, now we've been able to change the brain frequencies from high frequencies into these lower frequencies. So there's going to be a little bit more theta and alpha activity going on here. And in turn, that gets most people into a flow state. Once they're in that right flow state, then different neurotransmitters are released, serotonin, oxytocin. There's no inflammation. We're in a different nervous system. We're in the parasympathetic nervous system. We're in that rest, digest, and awareness state. The 7 body systems are calm. The organs, heart rate's lower, lung capacity's up, your muscles are supple. You're now in the present moment, and infinite space and infinite possibilities opens up. So all of a sudden you start to make the right decisions at the right time, and you're able to clear yourself of any of that stress. Now, obviously, this is not a magic bullet, as we would all know. This takes maintenance, but now you can see the flow-on effect of getting someone in the right brain frequency, the ability to influence the brain state and create neuroplasticity. So why did we develop the brain frequency variability? First thing was to create a digital brain state index similar to HRV. So you can see that on the left-hand side of the screen, the BFE meter. It's a single number index just on a simple dial from left to right. The ideal state is up in the middle section. The second thing that we set out to do was to graphically and quantitatively summarize the distribution of brain frequencies using a univariate data set. And we can see that's what we're doing here in the second one with the BFE histogram. Now, the BFE histogram objectively visualizes neuroplasticity over time. That's the exciting piece that we want to go into more detail with you today. How neuroplasticity is displayed with BFE histogram. When the rate of synaptic connections of neurons in the brain increases due to perception, thought, and stimulus, so does the BFV, and vice versa. So let's be clear, it is task specific. If we start off on the right-hand side of the page, we can see plasticity, or the BFE bandwidth, is on the x-axis, and the time/records is up the y-axis. You can see it's a standard bell curve. Too much to the left is hypoplasticity, in the middle is optimal plasticity, and on the right is hyperplasticity. The three screens on the left, if we start from the left-hand side, is low BFE, which will be associated with the resting state. Optimal BFE in the middle will be for an active state, and then on the right will be high BFE for overactive state. So depending on what the task requires, it will have different BFE shapes. The next step is, how would you use BFE in a session? The first step will be an assessment. So utilize whatever assessment protocols you currently use. You can now observe what is happening in real time during that assessment. And at the end of the assessment, step 2, there'll be a report. That gives you the opportunity to observe where they are at objectively. And then step 3 will be about you choosing what you think is the best intervention. Now, this is the best part. You can now measure neuroplasticity objectively in real time. You can track and compare effectiveness of interventions, tools, and techniques in real time and over time. So this becomes a closed loop system for you. Intervention effectiveness. So this leads us into intervention effectiveness. What it does is it enables quick and accurate comparison outcomes in real time. Let's start off with the client here in step 1 on the left-hand side of the screen. After their assessment, you can visually see there's not much BFE bandwidth, only 3 bars. So the assessment in this case is based around learning ability, which requires a wide bandwidth. So an intervention was chosen in step 2 on the top right-hand side of the screen. And the ResiMax was chosen as the intervention tool, and specifically the ResiMax Blue protocol. And almost straight away, it was able to double the BFE bandwidth to 6 bars in a very short period of time, that you can see here. The next step in step 3 was, can we improve it even further? So the ResiMax Red protocol was chosen, and it did improve even further to over 12 bars of bandwidth, which you can see across here. So this translated into a dramatic increase in learning improvement, which the practitioner and the client were super excited to see that this had happened. Targeted plasticity therapy. It's a novel technique which boosts neuroplasticity in conjunction with various forms of rehabilitation. We see a real opportunity to develop targeted plasticity with vagus nerve stimulation, light therapy, sound healing, music therapy, and all the other additional tools. Targeted neuroplasticity may transform neurological diseases and behaviours. The ability to see what is working or not working in real time can help create the fastest path to better outcomes for the client, improved behaviour and performance changes. In pathological conditions, the physiological process driving plasticity are insufficient to restore functions. This opens up the opportunity for new techniques to direct robust and specific plasticity treatments to treat the problem. We're up to the practical part of the presentation. Let's see how Amazing Brainwaves, the company, integrates objective neuroplasticity with her clients. Take it away, Tina.
Kia ora, welcome. I'm Tina Oliver, Director of Amazing Brainwaves here in New Zealand. I'd like to share how we use FocusBand as an objective, real-time measurement of our clients' brain activity. This gives us invaluable data to implement effective protocols and track progress throughout therapy. Research and results show that when we stimulate specific networks in the brain, we optimize the brain's response, enhancing neuroplasticity. This has a positive flow-on effect to the life potential of the children and adults we have the pleasure to work alongside. Both our clients and I, as an individual therapist, love using FocusBand. It is a fun, interactive and easy to use device. FocusBand validates our range of treatment co-activation protocols that enhance neuroplasticity. Thank you. Okay, welcome to Amazing Brainwaves. We'd like to share how we implement FocusBand into our therapy and use it every day. So we easily attach the FocusBand to the head and then we just click onto the app and we're in. So we're going to go to the brain train screen, go to our baseline and set this, and then we're just going to navigate through the windows until we get to where we want to be today, which is the histogram, which measures and displays neuroplasticity in real time. So as Casey's doing this exercise, we can check the neuroplasticity and see how it's growing. So a client can be active, they could be skipping, jumping, hopping, or they could be immobile. FocusBand's flexible and measures in motion and in real time, so we can be really adaptable with our interventions. We can visually track and visually see what's going on and compare the effectiveness of the various tools and techniques we apply. We can use the neurofeedback or implement changes along the way to increase and drive that plasticity. So one of the things that we use for that is the Resimax. So we use that in a variety of different ways. Today's Casey's just going to put that underneath her chin for a little while and see how she gets on there. And we can, again, visually see how that's going to drive that. So welcome back to Amazing Brainwaves, and we're here with Gemma. So we've gone from actively using the FocusBand to now in the seated position, immobile, and we're using a range of protocols here. Still predominantly looking at the histogram and seeing how we can drive that neuroplasticity. We want to look whether the brain's in a resting state, an active state, or an overactive state. So we can visually look at this screen and it'll tell us straight away what's going on. Sometimes it takes time for the brain to respond and for us to see this on the histogram. Other times it can be quite quickly. FocusBand really allows us to validate our treatment. So here we can hear the neurofeedback. She's getting good neurofeedback here, and you know that brain is in an active state moving. So if you're not able to set this up and see it visually like this, then we can go back and look at the reporting system later and individualise the treatment protocol from that. So thanks for being a great. Hi, welcome to Amazing Brainwaves. We're going to show you how we easily apply FocusBand, which we've already done to Taylor here, and how we use this in our centre every day. So we then go to the app and we just click on the brain train screen and we go through to which screen we want to use. Easy. So today we want to use the histogram screen and we want to watch that BFE and just see what happens and how it's going to change as we progress through what we're going to do here. So we use this as a baseline measure for clients. It's really easy to use, gives us feedback from in motion and real time. So we can see Taylor, he can do any activity and we can measure this see what the BFE is doing as he's doing each and every activity. So how about put the eyelight glasses on there? So he does have a Resimax on, eyelight glasses on, and he may do some reading with the reading bar. If you go back onto the balance board there, and we can do this activity quite easily. So he's going to read that, and we can just see what's happening on the histogram here. Okay, doing some real-time building here of Casey's amazing brainwaves. She's doing number worksheet, FocusBand on, and recording here in real time. The bandwidth, mental capacity, what the brain's working like as it's completing this task. Great work, Casey. Keep going. Where's your attention? Hold your pen properly, please.
Thanks, Tina. It's great to see all the amazing work you're doing. So great job there. So to go a little deeper from where we left off with data visualization, if the histogram is not enough detail for a hard case, the standard deviation graph is a great way to help. You can visualize at a glance what has happened with the before and after data, so as we can see here with our client Casey. If you were to reference this against a typical EEG graph on the right-hand side of the screen, it's very hard to work out what has actually happened with the before and after for both the practitioner and the client. So the next step is before and after data, reference against the ideals. So again, it makes it easier to see where they're up to. You can track their progress over time there with the before and after data. But now you can reference it against some ideals on the right-hand side of the screen. So there's resting, active, overactive. In this case, we would like to see Casey get up into that actives range. Let me go over the insights and tools on this slide, then we'll show you directly inside the app with some live data. So we have 4 screens starting from the left. We have the standard frequency and amplitude spectrogram that displays 9 bars. We have delta, theta, low alpha, high alpha, SMR, low, mid, and high beta, and then gamma. This allows you to personalize the training specific to the client. The next meter is the BFE meter, which is great for real-time plasticity changes. The BFE histogram is great to track neuroplasticity over a session and compare sessions against each other to see objectively the amount of plasticity change. The crosshair is brand new. This allows you to track exactly where you are at within the 9 quadrants on the screen. The crosshair shows where you are at left and right and up and down on the screen. We can then track your journey throughout the session with the FPS, which stands for Frequency Positioning System. This will have a tracer line to show you at the end of the session where you spent the most amount of your time in that session. So let's have a look at this in action.
I'm going to share with you our novel crosshair reporting screen. So I'm going to start Brain Train and start the system going. On the vertical axis we have performance, and on the x-axis stress. The crosshair is tracking both of these metrics at the same time. We will just follow the crosshair for a moment so you can get a feel of what's happening. Okay, we will now add our FPS or Frequency Positioning System. To do this, I'm going to go into Settings and turn on FPS and come back to the screen. This is now displaying a trace of the crosshair movement. We will just follow the FPS for a while and watch it track and trace its steps. This screen will provide practitioners with sort of an extra set of eyes so that they don't miss any vital information while attending to other matters. Also, a variation of this model will soon be available for sleep. At any stage of this, we can press the camera icon up on the right to take a screenshot of what we're looking at. Up on the trend bar here, I'm just going to press it, and you can see there's a black bar is being put on the trend bar as it's crossing across to the left. This is done in case you might want to go back, and at that point where you press the bar you might have noticed something, so it's a bit of a reminder. You can trace back and hopefully find out what attracted your attention. Okay, so there we have it, our novel crosshair reporting screen.
Okay. We have some great novel training protocols that are driven from your brainwaves. The first game that we have is Fluid Mind. And so you can see that with the two screens on the left. So the idea is that if you're in a stressed state, the fish will go orange and then you'll have no audio feedback. And that's on that left-hand screen that you can see there. If you get into the ideal brain state, the fish will turn blue and the audio feedback will turn on. So the bubble sounds will start. So this can be done as operant conditioning to just let the client work out how to do it on their own, or you can advise them with process conditioning. So on the right-hand side is breathing. We understand the big connection between the brain and breath for flow states and brain to body for brain coherence. But back to the brain page, you can personalize all of your settings for inhale, pause, exhale, pause ratios, the rate, tempo, and relative to the breath work that you want to use. So let's have a look at the breath page in action.
The breathing module. The breathing module has a series of options, and the goal is to be able to breathe slower and less. Yes, that's correct, to try and breathe less and slower. To assist you, we have a guided audio to take you through. You can set your breathing rhythm, the breathing rhythm being your inhale versus your exhale. As you can see here, I'm going up and down with my inhale, and I'm going to leave that at 4. We will not have a pause after the inhale. You can alter your exhale. The breathing rate is currently set to 6. That's letting you know you're doing 6 breaths per minute. To increase it, you press the plus button. The duration, you can have it from 1 second up to continuous. And the guided section here, I'm just going to start this so you can hear what's going on.
Exhale.
Okay, so now
Pause.
we're using the voice to guide you
Inhale.
through the breathing process.
Exhale.
So you're exhaling,
Pause. Inhale.
inhaling, and the diaphragm goes down.
Exhale.
Exhaling.
Pause.
We have a pause there.
Inhale.
Accidentally put a pause in there, but there you
Exhale.
have it.
Pause. Inhale.
So while the
Exhale.
breathing option is on, you can actually tab through to other
Pause.
sections of the app so the breathing
Inhale.
can be heard in the background.
Exhale.
Okay. The Fluid Mind module. Fluid Mind is a neurofeedback game which is really great for kids. They love this game. So I will start it. And as you can see, we've got fish swimming around. And the goal is to get the fish to swim slowly to the bottom and to turn blue. So we're trying to do 3 things. Get the fish to swim to the bottom, swim slowly, and turn blue. And to do this, you need to have a real calm mind and have a good breathing rhythm and rate, and this will happen. If you have thoughts, or if thoughts come into your mind, you'll see fish, a couple of the fish turn gold and dart around and dart up to the top. We have a score up there. As you can see, it's 23%, and that's telling us we've been in a calm state for that period of time. I have identical twin grandsons who love this game because of the scoring. So I've just stopped the app, and it's telling me that I have a score of 32%, and that's good work apparently. So that's what the kids thrive on, is getting a good score at the end.
A question that comes up a lot is how easy is it to customize the FocusBand? Well, it is very easy on the spectrogram page, as you can see here. We have 9 bars that you can adjust. You can see the green triangles, and these are the thresholds that you can adjust. You can either set these as inhibit, which is the green triangle, where the client has to get below the line, or you can set it up as the blue triangle, which is set up for reward. So the client has to go above that blue triangle.
I'm going to share with you today how to set up your own custom brainwave protocol in just a few steps. For this example, we are going to select only low alpha, SMR, and mid beta, and remove the rest of the frequency bands. This is done by pressing on the green triangle and dragging it to the bottom of the screen. I will start now with gamma. I'll put my finger on the green triangle and just drag it to the bottom, and I'll do that for all the rest. So as you can see, it's a pretty easy method of selecting which frequency bands you want to work with. Now that we've got our 3 bands, we can assign feedback to these 3 bands, and in this case we want low alpha to be the excitatory band and SMR and mid beta the inhibiting bands. And to do that, I will press on the green arrow on low alpha, and you'll see it's turned blue. What this means is when the low alpha band is above the threshold and the SMR band is below the threshold and mid beta is below the threshold, we will activate the neurofeedback system and start measuring the protocol. We will just run that so we can see what happens. Okay, so there we go. There's the 3 bands running, And yes, so now we're getting some feedback. So as per the condition, though alpha is higher than the threshold, SMI and beta lower than the threshold, we'll get feedback. And we can see the feedback up the top. I've just stopped the system so we can analyze what's happened there. So at the top here, we can see the protocol condition that we set up. We've been in that state for 40% of the time, the total time being 25 seconds, and we had 7 occurrences of that condition being met. So there you have it. We've produced a custom protocol in really no time at all.
So last but not least is sleep. There is a clear correlation between sleep deprivation and your health. It can adversely affect your cognitive decline, immune system, anxiety and depression, pain, judgment, performance, mood, concentration and burnout. We are really excited about getting into this space, especially in sleep staging. Now that we can accurately determine what stage you're in, we can apply neurofeedback at the right part of your sleep cycle. Over 90% of people over the age of 40 are not getting enough NREM or deep sleep. So this is the area we are most excited about. So if anyone is interested in this, please reach out to us. Let's finish off with a presentation recap. We'll go over the 6 questions to make sure everything is clear. So can the FocusBand measure and display neuroplasticity in real time? Answer is yes, it can. So there'd be 2 graphs that we'd recommend here. We'd recommend the BFV histogram and the new crosshair graph. These are both great for being able to measure and display neuroplasticity in real time. Can neuroplasticity be measured and monitored by the FocusBand while the practitioner is performing an in-motion intervention? Answer is yes, it can. So we would use those same 2 graphs, either BFV histogram or the new crosshair graph. They're both really great for while you're doing in-motion interventions. Number 3, can the FocusBand measure and compare the effectiveness of the various interventions being performed? Answer is yes, it can. So this, in the presentation, this is when we showed the client did an assessment. We worked out where they were. They had about 3 bars of bandwidth. So we decided that we would use the ResiMax as the intervention tool. Then we decided to use ResiMax Blue. So once ResiMax Blue was chosen, we saw a doubling of the bandwidth. And after that, we said, how much more could we increase the bandwidth by? So we decided to use the ResiMax Red, and the ResiMax Red went up to 12 bars. So there was a doubling effect. So it's very effective to be able to measure your interventions and then see if you can further improve over the session. And number 4, custom EEG protocols can be implemented in which screen? That would be inside the spectrogram. So the spectrogram would be the ideal place for us to do some customization of the EEG protocols. And in there we have the thresholds. There's the green thresholds if it's inhibit, and then the blue thresholds if it's reward. So the triangles will go down if it's inhibit, and the triangles will go up if it's reward. Number 5, the forehead EEG accuracy of the FocusBand has been proven to be how accurate? So in that study that was performed by the University of Queensland and the University of Eastern Finland, FocusBand had an 83% accuracy on sleep staging. The gold standard had an 87% accuracy. Number 6, published sleep trials were undertaken by what universities? So it was University of Queensland and University of Eastern Finland. They're both highly regarded in the sleep studies around the world. Okay, so hopefully we've answered all 6 of those questions for you there. If you do have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have a great special offer available. If you do purchase a FocusBand during the IAFNR conference, you will receive 1 day free training valued at over $500. You can find the special deal at focusband.com/IAFNR special offer. Please do come by and check out our virtual booth. Thank you so much for watching right to the end. We look forward to speaking with you again very soon. Goodbye for now.